Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Sander and Jes Valentine.
Hey, Kate, how can people get more Seltzer Squad in their lives?
We have finally launched our Seltzer Squad Patreon, where you'll be able to get early access to episodes on Wednesdays instead of Fridays, our monthly bonus episode. And if you really love us and you're the slickest bitch around, you will also be able to see video podcast recordings.
I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more Kate and Jes in their lives?
But in all seriousness, it really does help us move the podcast forward.
Yes. Subscribe at patreon.com/Seltzer Squad and help us keep this pod going.
Jess, are you listening to any good books?
Right now, I'm actually listening to an Audible exclusive podcast.
Ooh, I'm listening to Blackout by Sarah Hepola.
Oh, I listened to that one back in the day.
I mean, I'm a huge proponent of Audible. I love listening to Quit Lit or really any book. But did you know, Squad, that you can use our discount code to get a free month of Audible? Meaning you get a free book if you sign up.
That's right. Just go to audibletrial.com/Seltzer Squad and get a free month on us. I actually just signed up myself using it.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Loz.
Hi, Loz.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you too?
Guys, we have a special guest on today. We have on Loz of the famous meme recovery account, Brutal Recovery. So I reached out because I don't spend a ton of time on like sober Insta anymore because I find it like just exhaustingly positive, and I always come back to your page because I'm like, this is just, it's funny, good, real content, and you put out a ton of it. And so I want to kind of go back to the beginning of, obviously, I know you're sober, but when did you tell us your sober story, but also like tell us when Brutal Recovery came into the picture as sort of a side hustle?
Yeah, so I got sober when I was 25. I pretty much had been trying to get sober I'd been trying to get sober for a really long time. Like, I knew from the second I took my first drink, I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna ruin my life. Like, I just knew it. Like, and you know,
this is too good to be true.
I was like, oh, why don't people feel like this all the time? Then I was like, oh shit, yeah, because the consequences, and it ruins your fucking life. But I stuck to it, and again, nothing changed. But yeah, I hit my rock bottom when I was 25, when my consequences became very, very public and very, very messy. And I kind of was given no choice. And I remember, you know, I was definitely on my knees. Like, I was fucked. Like, I was just fucked. And when I looked like in, you know, sober Instagram, or the Instagram that I was seeing at the time, I saw people being, you know, very joyful and very grateful and very yoga and very smoothie, which are things I love. Like, I love.
Did you say very smoothie?
Very smoothie.
Like, everyone was all about smoothies, and I was like, oh, holy fucking shit! I'm so anxious. I think I'm gonna literally die. Like, how is everyone making smoothies? Like, what is going on?
Oh my god.
But yeah, so I was in music. I still am in music, and the culture just of drinking in there was really, really extreme. And I thought, you know, I was one of those, you know, drinkers that I hid in plain sight. Like, I made it my identity. Like, I was a party girl. I was, you know, really, you know, just trying to convince everyone all the time, like, how much of a good time I was having. And then I'd like go home and smash a box of Franzia by myself and cry about how lonely I was. Like, it was, you know, that double life sort of thing. So I came crashing into sobriety because I didn't have any other choice. And, you know, people were so sick of my shit. Like, the gig was like, the jig was up, like, it was done. And I remember I was living in America at the time. I'm from Scotland originally, and then I was in America, which was a geographical. I moved to America because I thought that Scotland was the problem, and if I went to a different place, like, I would be totally fine, and everything got worse as it often does. And yeah, so I got sober in America, and I was back in Scotland. I think it was Christmas. It was the day after Christmas, and I was, you know, I was battling my way through that first sober Christmas. We've all been there. And I went on sober Instagram, and again, I saw just all these, effervescent women in athleisure, drinking smoothies, doing yoga, and I thought, this isn't me. Like, I don't feel like this right now. I'm clinging for dear life here. And then I thought, like, memes is a love language. Like, we share memes with each other. It's such an effective way to really simply and communicate like huge, enormous feelings through the lens of humor, which, as a Scottish woman and as like a sarcastic sicko, like that's really important to me. So I can't remember, like my first memes, they were really terrible. Like I sometimes scroll back to my first memes and I'm like, oh God, like what were you doing? But yeah, so I just like started this account and I called it Brutal Recovery because I felt like reality was brutalizing me. Like I literally felt that being sober in the real world was this impossible thing and I didn't know how people did it, but I just wanted to find some levity. And I knew that because I was so fucked, like I had to put recovery first. I didn't have a choice. Like I'd run out of options. Like it was recover or die. And those are really high stakes. Like those are really, really high stakes. So like I needed a laugh and I thought, memes would be a really effective way of doing that. So it started like kind of just, small, and it was like for myself and like something to make me giggle. And then it just kind of took off and I realized that like other people felt like that. Yeah. And that just made me want to do it more. And then I realized like, oh my God, this isn't actually special and unique to me, that like I'm not having the time of my life right now, like in early sobriety and early recovery. And it's really fun because like I love, like I've got 3 years and a couple of months, and like it's up and down. Recovery is it's life on life's terms. Like I'm not, like I do love a bit of yoga and a bit of smoothie every now and then, but I've got my days where
you've made a smoothie during those 3 years. That's important.
At one point, I turned my blender on. So it's I love kind of going back on the experience of early recovery, but also that recovery is this wonderful, beautiful, insane, hilarious experience that we've got to put it first, but doesn't mean we can't like laugh at it.
Yeah, I think you really nail like like memes are the feelings in between, right? Like they're not on one side or the other, and I think there's so many of those like in between moments in sobriety where there's like a nuance that like only sober people get, and you've been able to like give it a voice and like put it with the best pop culture imagery that makes it, I think, easier for other people to communicate too, because obviously people send memes to each other all day long, and it's like a way of saying like, I'm having a fucking terrible day at work, but the meme, is able to kind of connect those dots on exactly what the moment felt like. And that's important. And I think it's also cool that the page isn't just about you. Like you sprinkle in little anecdotes about your life and your recovery and milestones and stuff like that. But it's also just a place that everybody can relate to. I think something Jess and I have struggled with is like, aren't they fucking sick of seeing us and hearing from us? Like we don't have anything else to say. Like we talk once a week. We put out an episode. We have nothing else to like share sometimes. And so I think that you've done a good balance, just as like a sober creator, of not having to put yourself and your story fucking first and foremost every single day so that you get to the yoga and smoothie place, Because then you get to a point where you don't want to share the bad things necessarily because you want to encourage people.
Yeah, I think like, part of, I really appreciate you recognizing that actually. Yeah. And I think something that I wanted to really communicate with the page was like, we're not all that different. Like, the level of identification that we have like across, demographics and genders, like there is something, it really, really shocks me like how many people that are like so ballistically different from me relate to the content that I'm talking about. And like I think it's a fun place to be messy, but there's an aspect of self-protection. Like I can't be as often as messy as I would like to be. That could be a little bit self-harming and overexposed. But yeah, it's the personal stuff that I do share. It's it's largely for identification, because we are not all that. There's something that I always want to communicate with it is like we have this thing in common, and it's so beautiful to see so many people of different experiences in so many different ways relating over this meme or this like stupid thing that I posted on my story, like, you know, 2 people are going to like this. And then it's like, so many people are like, oh my God, I felt that exact same way. You know, it's pretty cool.
It feels
Memes are like the great connector.
very much.
Like, you meet your people.
Your page feels
Absolutely.
very Seltzer Squad adjacent.
Yes. Well, people are always like, oh, you know, I don't love the AA thing. I can't do like the woo woo. Cause like, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm like, fuck that. So it's really nice to find like a meme account that's like this rather than like just some fucking Jack Handy, like, you know, everything's possible with God, like shit like that. So
right. Like,
no.
it's so many, yeah. And like, I want to make the page like for so many different, like, I always say this, like, this is not a 12-step account. Like, you know, a 12-step recovery is part of my recovery, but like, you know, the account is for all, you know, modalities of recovery, because they're all incorporated into my recovery. Like, there's so many different, you know, things, and you know, I cross lots of different intersections, like, you know, of things that I'm in recovery from, you know, trauma recovery, eating disorder recovery, self-injury recovery. You know, it's all under this umbrella of being a recovering human being on planet Earth. And that's something that I'm really, really, you know, passionate about showing. Like, it's and loads of people say like I'm not actually, you know, an alcoholic, but like your content relates to me in relation to you know, this
Something else.
And I think that's so interesting. I really appreciate that I can like create that space for people in, you know, in lots of different walks of recovery and lots of different experiences of recovery, because I'm absolutely of the belief that, you know, you find what works for you and just do a fuck ton of that.
100%.
Yes.
When 25 is pretty young to get sober, but I know you guys probably start drinking legally at what, 18?
We have I had a very, very quick acceleration. I started drinking alcoholically about I had my first drink at about 12, 13, and that was the moment where I was like, oh, thank fuck. Like, I know what I need to do. Like, I know, and I see 12-year-olds right now, and I'm like, oh my God. And I accelerated alcoholically by about 18. You know, that was like when I went to university, and there's a legal drinking age. Not that I stopped me before, but like, you know, it was easier to hide in plain sight. Like, it was easier to make it like, you know, an identifier. And so I think that 25 was young, and I think there's that really interesting thing about, you know, people with substance abuse issues who've like, you know, had this journey that we've had, and on one hand we're so maladjusted to life because anytime we've experienced something we've just like anesthetized ourselves with alcohol and drugs. But we also have these like ancient souls because we've been through so much, we've done so much, and we're deeply sensitive, like we feel everything. So like, I was 25, which, and you know, in this mortal hallucination in which we live is quite young, I felt fucking ancient, man. I felt like done. Like, I was so done.
So
25 going on 55.
How far into recovery did the account come?
I was about I got sober in March and it was December, so I think it's like 8 months, 9 months maybe.
And when did it start to take off?
Oh man, I think it was a wee while. Like, it was a slow burn because like the kind of I feel like the sober meme community is it's now its own like little niche internet corner, which I quite love. But when I started making memes, it was only like, you know, a couple of other accounts. So it did take a while to like take off. I think I was about a year and a couple of months sober, which was really funny because like when I first started my sobriety, it was chaotic. Like, it was so chaotic. So the you know, and if you go through the account, like you definitely see my ups and downs in my content, you know, and like the second year crisis, like you see the second year crisis so remarkably well, and you see like my sober breakup and you see my sober dating, like all the way through the content. But it took off when I was about the year and a bit phase.
Did it fuck with you or not?
Oh, you know, I have to be very, very heavily boundaried. I have a propensity to overshare. And it got me in like a little bit of trouble sometimes, like, because people from my real life, you know, would sometimes come across it. And when I first got sober, like getting sober was like the only good thing that I'd ever done. Like, because I'd fucked my life. So when I got sober, like I was that person, like, I'm sober now, guys. Like, you can love me again. Like, this is great. So like I was a bit more kind of, and I have this meme account. People love me. People like me. So then I would like be, sharing some personal anecdotes, and people, people would see it and they'd be like, "Are you okay?" It's like,
Yeah.
are you sure? Like, do you know? And I was like, no, I'm fine. This is how I process. So I'm a little bit more, boundaried with it now. And if it feels, I do it because I love it. Like, I love so much like sharing that space and being, it's a form of my creativity.
Sure.
Like it's a form that like I communicate. But if it becomes too much and if I become overexposed, like I'll definitely take a step back. Like if I find myself, engaging with trolls, and if I find myself engaging with, people that, are just there to be like dicks about it, that's when I know like I need to step away from this for a wee bit.
Do you get a lot of trolls? You must.
Oh, I do. It's so funny. Yeah, because it's I mean, being a woman on the internet, you know what it's like. Like you can't.
This is not something to laugh about. Oh no!
Right, of course, and it's a lot of like people who have not, been through what we've been through. I think they feel like we've got to be like wrapped in cotton wool and kind of, like kept very, very safe. So like to laugh about something that's like happened to me, they're kind of like, this is really disrespectful to people that like have been through that. And I was like, well, I have been through it, and this is how I've got to fucking laugh or I'll cry,
Yes.
And I think like laughing, like I only can share and like meme about stuff that like if I'm in it, I can't meme it. If
of course
I'm,
not.
Like,
It's too raw.
It's too exactly. Yeah. So like the fact that like I can laugh about it is a sign of my healing. That like it's a part of my rich tapestry of my past now, and now it's content.
You have to process it for sure. I think we we like flirted with that a lot, and it's like very early on we were like not ready. There were some things that like we would talk about personally, but we were like not ready to bring that to the table because it's like this is too soon. Like
they're gonna come for us.
Yeah,
not for public consumption.
Not at all. And I have to imagine that because you'll like at times I feel like the memes can be somewhat polarizing, right? Like some of them are trying to get a reaction, not that you're trying to get a reaction, but like it's a provoking meme where thankfully we don't get a ton of negative feedback, but the trolls are loud, obviously.
We're also not making memes.
We are also not making memes. Yes.
I feel I know that a lot of people are, so some people just have had bad experience with alcoholics. Some people have been hurt by, women with profound mental illness. So like which is, I say myself, I'm a woman with profound mental illness. Like I'm not, and they, they kind of come and they're just kind of like, you're fucked up and you'll always be fucked up. And I'm just like, okay, this is a person who's clearly in a lot of pain that they're harassing a stranger on the internet about this.
Yeah.
Right? Like I will, be at peace, sir. This is a meme. Like, calm down.
It's hard to remind yourself that this has nothing to do with me. Absolutely. It's so hard to remind yourself of that. It's just like, oh no, stop! You're being mean to me.
Yeah, that was harder. Like in the earlier days of the account, like everything was so personal, and I have like just this mantra now, like this is not personal. Like when my the filtered DMs, like I go through the filtered DMs like to see if there's anyone like asking for like specific advice that I can help with, or if there's something that'll be useful, or lovely podcasts contacting me to say come chat with us, but like in that, in there's usually a lot of people just going off their experience, and I'm just kind of like, be well, delete, block,
Yeah.
Yes,
that's all you can do.
Well, are you okay?
There's one that you posted recently. So there's two that I was just pulling up. I was like clicking on random ones because I was like trying to find the personal anecdotes, but I feel like one was personally attacking me. It's I'm smoke crying on a park bench at 7 p.m. because I'm PMSing and I overscheduled my work life today because healthy boundaries are still an impossible dream. Do you feel like that's true?
That day, that was 100% true.
Because I feel like that's true most of the time.
Hey, there's a time that you were like, I have to go. I'm walking in the park and I'm crying or something like that. And I'm like, all right, well, just text me if you need me.
Yeah.
Like, have your moment. You're like, I'm just going to go listen to a podcast or something.
Personal boundaries
Yeah.
are like they're like the problem with everything for me.
The impossible dream. Yeah, I have, I really, really struggle with work boundaries. I have like poverty mode in my head at all time. And I've always got that. I squandered my entire fucking life on like drugs and alcohol. Like I need to make money. I need to be productive. I need to like, I go in overdrive. So then I'm kind of like, I teach music at the moment and, private lessons, and people are like, oh, can you come, to this place an hour away and teach me at 10 p.m. And I'm like, sure. Yeah, that's no problem at all. Like,
I'll leave now.
Be there. It'll be great. Yeah. And then I like, and oh my God, smoke crying is that is such a particular flavor.
It's like a talent.
I walked by that bench.
Yes.
Walked by that bench, and I remember the day that I was smoke crying on that bench. And we started to no longer smoke cry on that bench. That's what I think when I see that bench.
Jess, what's our number one piece of advice when people are getting sober?
Therapy.
So much therapy that I'm going to school to be a giver of therapy.
This is true.
BetterHelp reached out to partner with us at the Social Squad to offer 10% off a monthly membership to BetterHelp.com.
What is BetterHelp.com?
BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that is for individuals, for couples. You take a short quiz, you get matched up with a mental health professional, and you, through the app, are able to video, or you can just message back and forth with a licensed professional to give you counseling and guidance on anything and everything that you're going through.
So how do our listeners use our code?
You just go to betterhelp.com/Seltzer Squad and you'll receive 10% off your first month.
Hey, Kate, what's another way that the squad can help support the podcast?
In addition to just listening or signing up to our Patreon, y'all can shop our online merch store, which has a variety of different sober treats, from mugs to sweatshirts to tanks and tees.
Everything.
All of our signature sayings are all over our sober merch. So visit seltzersquadshop.com and check it out.
Treat yourself to something sober while supporting the pod.
What does your recovery look like since you've started the page? Is it similar? Is it different?
I think it's, that's really interesting, because they are quite tied up in each other. I think like the important thing is that I need to keep some things to myself. So it's kind of like, what do I keep to myself? What do I keep sacred? What do I keep private? I think if I didn't have that, and my whole recovery was up for public consumption, that would be a problem. I don't think I think the way that I drank, and the way that my life was, people ask me sometimes, they're like, are you sometimes sober, like, because you're on a meme page, but the way that my drinking was is like, I nothing, I wouldn't stay sober for a meme page. Like I have to I have to maintain my recovery like off,
like an actual recovery program. Yeah.
Like an actual like I actually have to do the work. Who knew? So it's really, it's interesting. Like for me, I guess this time around, like something was just so, like I was just so done that was something that had never happened to me before in my other attempts at sobriety. In my other attempts at sobriety, I had like little reservations, and I was like, oh, I could like, skirt around this, I could do this, I could do that. No, like this time around I was like, no, I'm done. Like I had that moment, like just I'm on my knees, like I'm fucked. So yeah, but most importantly, like I got to keep something to myself. There's
do you find that the page does give you a little bit of some accountability because it's so good? You're like, like, because I feel like that sometimes with the podcast, like it helps me keep my own personal accountability. Not that means if I didn't have the podcast, I'd go and get wasted, but it's like,
it'd be easier to slip.
This is a good thing that I'm doing. I got to keep with it. It's like a nice reminder, I guess.
Yeah, I love the idea of accountability, and I also love the idea of these forms of media that we engage with. So actually helping people. So it's kind of like I have this really unique platform that through like the fucked up, like through the fucked up shit that I've done, I can actually make people feel seen and make people feel okay about their own experiences. So like,
Yeah.
it's really nice to kind of frame it that way, like, yeah, this is personal accountability, because the more sober I am and the more that, you know, I can share that experience in a medium that works for me, like I can actually help people, you know.
Yes.
So that,
Yeah. That's how I feel about, we have episodes called Hot Mess. So, and it's
yes.
just basically like when we read our listeners' hot mess stories, and people love it because it's like, you think that you're the only one who like whatever took a piss on whatever, and then it's like, oh, relatable. So I feel like that's like you're saying with like the memes, it's very relatable, and it makes you feel like less alone in like the shameful shit.
Because how alone was active addiction? Like there's no loneliness like it. Like it's palpable. It's deadly. So, and again, like, and then the shame, like I drank on shame my whole fucking life. You know, and there's always that thing, like oh my god, I'm always on, I mean, like I live back in the UK now, so like a lot of people that, you know, I drank with, and a lot of, you know, I'm meeting them again, and lovely fresh new memories are coming back, and remember that time you, like I'm getting that a lot right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, actually I didn't remember that, but thank you so much for that reminder.
Thanks for reminding me.
What a good time I was.
Yeah, I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the idea that like I sit in that room of like whatever I've done, someone else in this space has done.
Definitely.
And
Exactly.
the worst thing that I think I've done, someone else has done it, and probably worse. So it's that I need that. Like, and it's we're so lucky that we can do this, like that we can actually share this in a candid way. It's really lucky.
Definitely. Okay, I want to talk about Reframe because I don't totally understand what it is, but you'll have to walk us through it, because I feel like your journey on Reframe would be really like the brutal recovery Reframe stories would be really fun as a resource to extend to the squad, because everybody's always asking us for apps and things. So walk us through like what it is and what happens and how they find you.
So Reframe is a sober app. It's absolutely amazing. It's so thorough. The people that work on it and the people that, you know, have it are in recovery themselves, and they are seeing, you know, the kind of care that we need, the kind of, you know, what the demands of being a sober person in modern society when you aren't in like an intensive outpatient program, or you're not in rehab, you know. So it's such a comprehensive app. It's got like all the usual sober app things, like a day counter, but it's also got like mindfulness exercises. It's also got like a little forum and a community that's really active actually. And so what I have contributed to that is the Brutal Recovery package, which is a 90-day package where there's every day you get a meme from me, and
Avi,
classic, and then like a little, you know, there's like kind of there's 4 feet there. So over the 90 days, it's over the 12 weeks. So at the start of every week, there's a theme, and the themes are, you know, all about rediscovering, reconnecting, recovering, and just kind of like dealing with life as a sober person. And the big thing for me was that when I got sober, I was really, really scared that I wouldn't be creative anymore. I was really scared that I would be, you know, this just absolute void of a human being. I would just be like this angry non-drinker. So the content that I cover like daily is usually something to do with, here's like a coping tool that I have for when I have a craving, or here is, you know, one of the weeks is all of the little essays and all of this writing prompts and like little tasks as well. Then it works so cool in the app because you can just like input it into your app. It's like just like a daily thing that you can do. So it's like one of the weeks is about rediscovering your senses.
Okay.
Like we completely, or at least me in active addiction, like I was not in touch with my senses or my body. So like I've made it really clear, like, you know, one of the gifts of sobriety is getting in touch with your body and your senses and your taste and your sight and your sound. And there's lots of like kind of emotional regulation. That's been an enormous part of my recovery, like, gratefully. And yeah, like I cover things, you know, meditation techniques, sort of friendship situations, like how to navigate social situations, how, you know, and it's all based on my experience. There's some personal anecdotes sprinkled in there, much like the account, but just really focused in a way that is kind of, here is what I did, here are the tools that I used in a 90-day little, you know, app on your phone. So it's
That's awesome.
I'm really proud of it. Yeah, it's I put a lot of love into it because again, like, and I've got a lot of stuff to do with, you know, finding your creativity, and maybe not as far as purpose, but, you know, just kind of like, you can have a sober, joyful life. And that was my main fear going into recovery, is that like I just would be sad forever. And yeah, I guess with the app, I just wanted to say, actually, there's so much joy to be had. So
I
yeah,
love
That's
that.
awesome.
So they could download Reframe, and then they can find your like module.
Yeah, so if you download, there's a link in bio.
Got it.
And then you, if you sign up and then you choose the module, and then there's the Bristol Recovery module. Yeah,
I love that.
my little logo.
All right. So we have a few questions that we ask everybody.
Okay.
I added one to the list today. What is your favorite boundary, if you have one?
Oh, my favorite boundary is probably time, like making time boundaries, like with my scheduling, and being, you know, if I'm going somewhere to a social event, I will have, you know, an allocated time that I'm going, and then if I make that boundary with myself, if I'm having an amazing time and I want to stay for longer, I can. But if you know, I hit my limit, my boundary is that I leave. And, you know, just, you know, spending time with people is such, you know, to keep that precious. I, you know, make sure that my boundaries with time and punctuality are really, really, really tight.
Wait, I need to know more. Walk me through the leaving part of this, because I need
so much easier
I
now
need
that
like
you're
a one-on-one.
being sober. I feel like leaving.
Yeah, but like, I always feel
drunk,
guilty for
but-
wanting to leave, and then like, what do you say? And do you say
fuck
anything,
that.
or do you? I
Here's-
like,
Oh,
I don't.
man, you can just
Do you Irish
say,
wine?
Walk me through it, like-
guys, this has been so much fun. I've had an amazing time. I have to go now. Goodbye. Easy. It's
Kate, why are you
simple.
making it so difficult?
I always feel like I need to give a reason. Like, I'm so
Oh,
sorry,
I
I have to
same.
leave.
The
We're
part of the
like really good at making things harder for ourselves. That's for sure.
You know, they say like all the time, like, no is a complete sentence. So is goodbye. You can leave any situation you don't want to be in. You have, I
Goodbye
give you
is a complete
permission.
sentence.
Like, bye.
That's for you, Kate.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's a good one. A lot of our squad, they're all like are in early sobriety, and they all want to know how to make sober friends. So do you have any suggestions? Although it sounds like on your app, there's a forum, which
There
is a really
yeah.
good way to meet people. But yeah, do you have any suggestions on where to meet sober friends?
Do you know, I think sober friends is really, really important for me. I was in a really, really lucky position that, you know, being on sober Instagram and finding my little tribe on sober Instagram, I was able to do that. And I think it is really, really heartening that more people are getting sober, like whether they're an alcoholic or not, or whether they've, you know, struggled with alcoholism or addiction, substance abuse or not. More and more people I know are like not drinking because of health reasons. So, you know, I went on a date recently where I had not told him that I was sober, and he was kind of like, oh, do you want to go get some drinks? And I was like, oh, well, you know, I don't actually drink. And he's like, oh, right, you're not drinking today. And he's like, well, actually, like, I've not drank in 30 days. And I was like, oh, well, actually, I've not drank in 3 years. And, you know, it was, so I think, like, you know, a way to kind of make, you know, sober friends is just kind of be a little bit more transparent. Like, you don't have to lay out your whole life story. Like, you know, I don't approach sober people like, I almost fucking died. Like, you know, just be like, oh, I don't drink. It's a lifestyle choice. I want to make the most of every day of my life, and I do that as a sober woman. And more people, like, I don't know, that has just attracted
And I'm
more
leaving your
sober
party
people.
now. Goodbye.
Goodbye. This has been so much fun. Thank you for having me. Goodbye.
I love that.
Yeah, so sober Instagram's been really useful. I think that there's a couple of I know that there's Sober Girls Society is an Instagram account. I think they're UK based, but they often have kind of meetups and roundups. Like they'll,
That's
you know,
Millie's, right? Millie
Yeah.
Gooch.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. So that, I know that's been a really, really useful resource for some people. And what else?
Are you friends with sober memers?
I am friends with sober viewers. Yeah,
I love that.
We have like our own little group chat.
Good.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we workshop memes together. We're like, you know, I'll send in a template.
I don't know
like,
if she's being sarcastic or not. I'm like, I don't know. Oh, you're being serious. Okay.
yeah,
I figured, but I'm like, you never know. I don't know.
yeah, it's
I
great.
love
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Yeah.
So my favorite question to ask people we interview is if you have a hot mess story that you would like to share.
My whole fucking life.
Fair.
Let's see. So I have a couple of hot mess stories. I think one of my favorite hot mess stories, because it just involves so many of the intersections of how much of a lunatic I was I was going to I think it was my birthday, and I was going out to a drag show with a friend, and I had work at 9 a.m. the next day, so I was just like, I'm not going to get too drunk, like famous
Obviously.
last words.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, it's going to be fine. And like, it was a really important day at work. I mean, it was a retail store, and like it was like a big changeover, and there was like, they knew the secret shopper was coming in.
Right.
Oh, no.
So I was like, this is going to be fine. I'll just, you know, go to this drag show and I'll have, you know, 2 vodka sodas and it'll be completely fine. And it was not fine. I like, it was just like such a classic story of, I got there, I got fucked up, I took all of my clothes off, and I thought I was doing everyone such a favor, like by getting naked. So I like was handing people my clothes, like, there you go, you can have my tights, and you can have my dress, and you can have my shoes, like, you're all so welcome. And they like passed it to the front of the stage. Then I realized I was in the middle of this like club, like absolutely, you know, I had my underwear on, and I was like, this is fine. So yeah, and then I went home, and I got lonely, so I called someone over.
Oh no.
And then halfway through, I got really bored of him, so I texted someone as I was sleeping with this guy to come over. And then I made up this story. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, but my boyfriend's coming home, so you've got to be so careful when you like climb the stairs. Like, you know, you got to go downstairs, and if you see someone coming upstairs, do not make eye contact with him. Like, don't make it. That's my boyfriend. And so he like rolled out, and then this other guy came in, and then I started sleeping with this guy. And at this point, I lived with my boyfriend. Who was neither.
Wait,
of
like
these
the
men.
actual boy,
Yeah.
third.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So,
Oh no.
and then my friend was like chaperoning me. So he was like in the living room, like twiddling his thumbs, you know, like, God bless the people that kept me alive during these days.
Sure.
So then I woke up in the morning, and you know, I woke up like 10 minutes before I was supposed to be at work, and I was just like, yeah, and I knew that my boyfriend was
Still
like,
drunk.
coming. Still obvious, yeah, absolutely. And like,
But
I was caught in
panicking.
a rainstorm in the way home. I came into work like my makeup from like yesterday's night. Like, I'd wet the bed, and my boyfriend was like coming. He was going to pick me up at work and then take me home. So like, I said to my friend, like, can you please like fix my apartment, like fix my flat, so that it doesn't look like I've had sex with 2 men that were not my boyfriend.
Oh my god.
This night. And I remember like walking home from work, like with my boyfriend, just like Heavenly Father, please make it so that my friend has like cleaned up my flat. And he had, like, God bless him. Like, that was,
That's a good friend.
That is a good friend.
/ also enabling, but
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
yeah, it was, oh man, yeah. So, but like, it's, yeah, that was just kind of my behavior. I would get naked, do some abhorrent sex conduct, and someone would like
conduct.
someone would like clear up my mess for me. That was basically
It's very
That's a good
relatable,
story,
though,
yeah.
honestly. So,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
Okay, last question, and then we'll wrap it up. What has been the best part about you getting sober?
Oh my God, definitely just learning to this is really, really cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason, and it's liking myself. Like, I hated myself my whole fucking life. Like, I never once, until I found like happiness and sobriety, felt that I could just sit inside my skin and exist as a human being. Like, it was always I was always looking for an escape door. I was always like clawing out of myself. Like it was literally just being alive, and in my head was hell on earth. And, I really now I'm so comfortable with who I am as a person, and it's still unfolding. Like I'm still finding out, who I am and what I like. And it's so exciting. And I wanted the gifts of sobriety I wanted to be famous, and I wanted a rich partner, and I wanted, everything. But I sincerely mean this when I say, like, the sheer gift of looking in the mirror in clothes that you like to wear, like listening to music that you like in a flat or apartment that, you're okay being in, and saying like, I like you like this. That is, and I do that every morning. Like that's, sometimes more begrudgingly than others, but like I say to myself every morning, I'm just like, I really like you like this. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't get sober, because that was part of my like evacuation from who I was. It's like finding out who I was, and like hugging the parts of myself that were fragmented, like from, that time that I tried to like spend 25 years of my life killing myself, and just like feeling that close and feeling okay with being alive. Oh, I hope I've made it seem attractive, because like it's so fucking good. And if you are in
it's a good way to describe it.
I swear, like it's coming, and it's so fucking good.
Yeah, that's so perfect.
Love it. Okay, where can we find you? Where's all the places? Tell us.
So I'm on Brutal Recovery on Instagram. I think that's like, I
and
have
then
a Patreon
Reframe,
where
like they can get your module.
The link's on there.
Yes, the link is in your bio.
Okay. Yeah, I have a Patreon as well, where I can get a little bit more personal. So that's kind of like a little bit more like, autobiographical. And that's my rambles and rants from me on there. So yeah,
is it patreon.com/brutal recovery?
Brutal Recovery.
Okay, perfect.
So that's where you can find me. And I'm really grateful to talk about this stuff, because this is like actually this is the joy of my life. Like I fucking love being sober. I know my memes are like flipping and like,
we're glad they're not yoga and smoothies. That's what we love.
Yeah, seriously. Well, then we wouldn't be talking to you if it was. So
no.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's been so fun.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Well, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.